Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and early, 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Let's see if I can pull this video together. All right. I was going to talk. There's one story I came across yesterday that I wanted to talk about. It was Tucker Carlson again. And it's getting to the point where I don't want this guy to keep getting my goat every single day, where I come on here and it's just like me and my obsession with Tucker Carlson. I do not want to get to that point. I'll tell you what the story was, because it just seems like the stories are so outrageous. I have to talk about them, and then I start to understand that is his goal. He gets on TV and he says things, these bizarre claims, these ridiculous, offensive, bizarre things, just to get the go of people like me. And then I came across some more proof that it wasn't just him, and that's why I'm making this video. I'll explain it all right now. Okay, the article that first got my attention was where Carlson keeps talking about Russia and how he doesn't think that Biden, well, why is Biden worried about Russia anyway? Or who cares about the Ukraine? And I can't believe that Republicans have gotten to a place where they're defending, they're taking Russia's side, Putin's side. This is what Carlson was talking about. He was talking about the truckers, the freedom truckers, and he was saying that it was the worst civil rights violation in U.S. history or Canadian history, because these freedom truckers were finally booted after 3 weeks of sitting in hot tubs, drinking beer, and smoking pot. They've been finally booted off from in front of the parliament. Finally. And he thinks that should be the story, that this is the biggest civil rights violation, and oh my God, what? And who cares about the Ukraine and Russia? And besides, why shouldn't we? This is what Carlson's saying. Why shouldn't we just take Russia's side? Because Russia's got more to offer us. Who cares about the Ukraine? And I sit there and I listen to this, and I can't believe what this guy's saying. The Republicans have finally gotten to a point where they're actually supporting another superpower against the United States. That we should somehow. It reminds me of a beta male, kind of taking the side of a bully instead of the person that's being bullied. The Ukraine is a fledgling democracy. That is makes one thing that makes America great is going to bat for countries that want freedom. Also, this is the first thing that came to my mind was 1940s in Germany, how people were saying that's what got us into almost losing World War II in the first place, is because a lot of America just sat back and said, well, it's not our fight. When Germany invaded Poland, started invading the countries around Germany, and we sat back and said, well, that's Europe's problem, it's not our problem. And it turned into the world's problem. And you could easily see that with Putin, what's going on here. And I can't believe my ears. But it's just, at that point, I thought it was just Carlson saying this. Then I came across, I'll put the link down below. It was an article in Common Dreams, and it was a great article as to why Trump supporters are Trump supporters, the authoritarian complex, the situation. And I'll put the link down below. And you guys know that this is one of the biggest questions. I don't understand how somebody could put a bumper sticker, a Donald Trump bumper sticker. To me, it would be the most embarrassing thing. How can these people be proud of supporting an idiot? Somebody that has no command over the English language. The president that looked into the solar eclipse. Remember that? He took his glasses off and stared into the sun. It's like, how can people put that bumper sticker on their car and not be embarrassed by it? So then I read this article in Common Dreams as to why certain people gravitate towards authoritarianism. They feel that they've lost social and economic power, especially after the pandemic. Coincidentally, one of the saddest things is America has the highest number of people that are identifying with authoritarian ideas, over 25%, more than any of the countries in Europe. And it talked about this is how they explained it, that these people feel that by supporting an authoritarian, they're pulling some of the power from him, and the rights and the power to, like they talked about, the unruly passengers on planes, and they explained it this way, that it's this group of people that are that agree with authoritarian people like Trump, and they are fighting out against people they feel are oppressing them, like airline stewards or teachers. And it doesn't make any sense, but if you read this article, it explained a lot. It's the best explanation I have found as to why people support Donald Trump. All right, then I came across another article. J.D. Vance, I don't know a lot about this guy. He wrote a book, The Hillbilly Elegy, I think it's called. Don't know a lot about him. He's on Steve Bannon's podcast. Now, this is the third article that I saw this morning, and he's talking about Russia, Ukraine, and he compares it to something else. And this is where I finally said, okay, I got to talk about this. So I'll put the link down to this below too. It's the third article, Tucker Carlson, and the one about authoritarianism, now this one. And Bannon asked J.D. Vance about Ukraine and Russia. And J.D. Vance comes out with the same thing. He comes out with this thing that me and a couple other guys on my blog joined the Marines back in 2000, whatever. He's a young kid, young idiot. And he says, we didn't join the Marines so we could fight for transgender people's rights. And he goes on to say that the whole war, the whole reason Biden is getting involved in this, in backing Ukraine, is because Vladimir Putin doesn't support transgender rights. Wow. He just kind of skips over the whole part about democracy, and invading another country, and, like I said, about, Germany in the 1940s and everything. And he equates this to transgender rights. And that got to the point where I was like, I got to talk about this. All right. So Tucker Carlson compared the Russian Ukraine and the Ukraine to the Freedom Truckers. Well, why isn't Biden talking about the greatest civil rights violation in history, the Freedom Truckers? J.D. Vance talked about the opiate overdoses and fentanyl. Now, this is where I got something to say about this. He says he's so that this is so much of a bigger problem, all these people overdosing. Why isn't he talking about the invasion? Why isn't Biden doing something about the invasion of 3 million illegal immigrants bringing all this fentanyl to the country and poisoning? So he's basically blaming Mexico for poisoning Americans. And this really got my goat. What if I came on here, right? And you guys know, I'm a recovered addict for 15 years now. I used cocaine, crack, heroin. What if I came on here? It wasn't my fault. It was the fault of the Taliban. They're the ones that grew that opium. They got me addicted to it. If I didn't take any responsibility for it, the cocaine, it's the Colombians' fault. It wasn't my fault. I'm a good, honest American. And if it wasn't for those damn Colombians growing the cocaine, I would have never gotten addicted to it. I would have never had any problems with substances. That's what he's saying. Basically, it's all Mexico's fault for, bringing the fentanyl in here. We wouldn't have any problems if it wasn't for them poisoning Americans. And this is where it really got my goat, because I'm running out of breath. I'm getting so upset about this. This is where it does an injustice, a disservice to people trying to get into recovery, because people like me need to take responsibility for your actions. That it's it's not my mother's fault, my parents' fault. It's not the Mexico's fault, America's fault, Joe Biden's fault that I got addicted to drugs. It is a disease, and it's in my genes, but I need to take responsibility if I'm going to recover for what I did, make amends, and move on. And so when J.D. Vance brings up that, it's more important that the fentanyl, the Mexico, and the illegal immigrants, other than this minor little wag the dog thing. That's another thing they've been using about Russia and the Ukraine, that it's just, it's a false flag meant to distract people from Hillary's problems, which is a joke because they bring up Hillary to distract from Trump's problems. Oh my God. What a web we weave when first we practice to deceive. I hope that made some sense. It was kind of a spur of the moment video. You guys, I'll have the links down below to the 3 articles. You guys have a great Sunday.